Hi everyone, it's Sue with Ully Cat's Designs and Ully Cat's World blog, and I'm here with another card using the new Karen Burniston November 2025 release. And today, you can see I've got all my pieces cut out for a slimline card. We're going to be using the playful pop-up mechanism, and I'm going to be installing 3 of them in the card. We're going to use the bug borders, specifically this one where they're crawling. We're using the new greeting labels. I'm using this die here to cut out that sentiment, which comes from the Ladybug greetings. So we've got Ladybug luck to brighten things up. And then on a banner, I've cut crawling by to say hi. And that banner also comes from the greeting labels. And then finally, my background pieces are cut using the previously released long rectangles crosshatch, and it's using the largest one. And it is 3 by 5/16 by 8 5/16. So I have cut my base piece 8.5 by 8 inches. So I'm taking my card base, and the side that is 8 inches, I'm going to score at 4 inches. So I trimmed my card base down, so it's now 7.5 by 8 5/8. And that means these will fit perfectly on here. I sometimes find running a smooth stamping block to get all of my edges, my decorative papers, to lie flat works well when gluing them. So now we'll just work on the back side. So we have our decorative panels on our card base, and we're just going to set that aside. And now I want to work on the mechanisms. I've cut 3 of the decorative that are going to go on these. And just matching up the smile with the smile. Sure that we have a little bit of a border all the way around. But I wanted to show you how you fold this piece. There's 3 mountain folds. And then there's what I call the martini glass, wine glass pieces to fold diagonally, and then they'll come up like that. And I did train all of my folds before I glued those on. I also want to show you what the kind of like a K piece or a wonky Y, but I like to think of it as a K. And again, there's a fold there, and then this bottom sort of base piece folds up and becomes a little bit of a cube. And again, you've got those martini folds. And again, you have the martini glass folds on these in this triangle. Put glue, and we'll let that one dry, and we'll do our others. Now the swinging arm piece, which was the K piece, its tab and the tab on our main platform both have smiley faces, and we're going to glue the tab smiley face over the platform smiley face. And now we're going to take and fold that Y so that this triangle gets glue. We're folding it so that the short tab fold is just over the long tab fold, so that when it goes up, you can see it forms sort of a cube. I'm going to let that dry, and then we'll do the next ones. You can see that we've got our cube there, and I've got that glue set up some, and I'm just tucking that strip into there. One of the things in figuring out the placement of our mechanisms is I noticed that in the fully upright position, these 2 arms will more than likely hit each other. So I'm going to cut off this one. You can see on the back here, cut it way back. And our mechanism will still work, but this also tells me I need to make sure that whatever I put on this arm won't be too long. To install it, I want it to be that line right on the fold. I'm going to move those out of the way. further up there so that we make sure that piece is still inside the card. So I've taken my weights off and we'll close it up, and I see this arm right here is still in the flat position, so I need to pop that in so that it will close up. So my thought is to put a ladybug on each of those tooth or tongues so that they will crawl back and forth. But I'm also thinking on one of these, and I think I'm gonna trim off my banner probably about there. So all you have to do is match your banner back up, tape it in place, and run it through the die cutting machine. I'm gonna put, this is at the highest point. I'm just gonna put a paperweight over that. But I'm also gonna put glue just on the white part to glue that on. I've glued most of my ladybugs together, but I thought I'd show you how I've been doing it. For me, tweezers work the best to hold on to that. And then I just line up the top edge with the legs on this one, and then I spread the wings so that they cover up the rest. And then these are the flying wings, which just get fit on the back black wing part, and then we'll glue that. So there's all of our ladybugs. And I'm just putting a dot of glue so I've taken and folded the stem on this tall one down into making a little more of a cluster, and that cluster is going to go on this arm, of which I've trimmed that much off of the arm because when it closes, I don't want it to interfere with this little guy, our one flying. He's testing to make sure everything fits. And I've got 3 arms left that we can put the rest of our ladybugs on. And I've cut a blank label that will be for signing the card. I want to make sure when I put it in here, it's not going to interfere with that ladybug that's right above it. When cutting out the ladybugs on the border dies, their wings, you have to use the stencil feature of the die to color in their black dots. And tweezers, I'm finding tweezers are almost a must to assemble these. And then I've got one extra that I'm going to put on the back of the card. I'm using my finest tip bottle of glue so that I can make sure. Now we'll put on front sentiment. And I'm just going to put my paperweights over and let it dry. And here's our finished card. Ladybug look to brighten things up. And crawling by to say hi. So you can see there's lots of ladybugs crawling all over the pear blossoms. There's a nice place to write a personal message. And on the back, one more little ladybug. I hope you've enjoyed this card and got some inspiration. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.